We are live. Hello,
We are
hello,
live.
everybody. Welcome
All
back
right.
to our Friday live. Today, we've
So,
got a very special guest.
well, we want to let everybody know, especially for you newcomers, or you're seeing this later on, because we know it sticks up. It sticks up in Facebook. Adrian, give me the wave, give me the wave, give me the wave. And we know as it's sitting in social media, and you're seeing all that wacky movement. You're like, what are these nut jobs doing? And hopefully, you're playing the audio now, and you're getting curious. So Adrian and I are realtors. We're here in Hawaii, and we like to do a live streaming on multiple platforms. So we're actually coming to you on 2 Facebook channels, LinkedIn and 2 YouTube. If you can't get enough of us, we're just putting more and more of this content out. And so this is what we do every Friday. But again, you can see it, obviously, if you click on your timelines and watch this later on. Adrian, you want to do the intro for Willie?
Sure. So our guest today is a self-made multi-millionaire real estate investor, broker, coach, lecturer, and author. As a buyer, seller, and broker, he's been involved with well over 200 million in real estate transactions. He's the author of Cash Flow Secrets, a book on real estate investing and finance tips. Most people never taught, but they need to know. He's the owner and broker at the Mandrell Company. Please welcome our guest today, Willie J. Mandrell.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
So
good to connect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about you and how you ended up doing what you're doing. It's always people want to know, how'd you get to where you're at, and then let's see how many nuggets we can share with people to entice them to want to connect with you later after we're done with this live. So Willie, tell us where you're from originally.
Boston, Mass. Not
Okay.
Austin. Boston.
Not Austin.
Yeah, Boston, Mass. Grew up. I've been here my entire life. Went to high school here. Went to school here. Went to college here. I didn't even leave home when I went to college. Went to Northeastern University right here in Boston as well. Married here. My wife went to Northeastern University. So very familiar with the city. And started. My grandparents actually moved up. They were out of the Georgia area and moved up to Boston, 1950s. And my grandfather was in the military at the time. He was in home, and my grandmother, while he was gone, started investing in real estate. A friend of hers got her introduced to the real estate game. She bought her first multifamily in, I want to say, 1958, somewhere around there, and did really well for herself. Tenants were coming in, paying down the rents, and she ended up taking some equity out of that one and buying another property and another. And my grandfather, as he's coming home, he's impressed with everything that she's doing, building up their wealth. It ended up skipping a generation though. My father was not really interested. My uncle was not really interested in real estate, wanted to take their own path. Grandfather passed away when I would say roughly 5 years old in 1988. And by the time my brothers and I came along, my grandmother had this portfolio of real estate, but we were 11, 12 years old. So she ended up selling out of a big portion of her holdings and just kind of living off of that. So by the time I'm getting out of school, getting out of high school, getting out of college, she really kind of pushed me to get back into the business and rebuild that portfolio, so to speak. 2006, I unfortunately got out of college. 2006, probably one of the worst times to start investing. 2007, the stock market crashed. 2008, the housing market crashed. The Great Recession that we had. I probably lost maybe 30-40% of my real estate, the value in my real estate at that time. But instead of running away, I just did what Warren Buffett tells us to do, and ride the market down, and then you look for opportunities. So 2011, 2012, 13, 14, my wife and I, girlfriend at the time, now wife, were just buying rental properties. We saw an opportunity where things were selling at 30 to 40% what they were selling at in 2006. So we bought rental properties and did almost the same thing that my grandmother was doing. And today, 2021, we're sitting on roughly 50 units here in Boston, with the plan of doubling that in the next couple of years.
Wow. I got a really critically important question. How come you don't sound like those people from Boston where they say, go pop the cat?
It's a very tight community of those people here. The assumption is that everyone here sounds like Matt Damon and like The Town I think is the movie that there's a lot of movies here. The Mark Wahlberg movie Ted. I'm pretty sure you've seen a few where everybody sounds like they're parking the car in Harvard Yard. I can put it on if you like. I mean, it's just not the way the rest of us talk. That's South Boston. The rest of us speak like we're just Americans.
Yeah, Adrian, your turn.
So Willie, you come up with this new book, Cash Flow Secrets. Now, what could our viewers or listeners hope to learn? I mean, obviously, you've had a lot of experience throughout the years, like ups and downs. But like, what are they going to learn from buying this book and going through it?
Yeah, sure. Cash Flow Secrets is all about just, I would say it starts off with the importance of understanding money. I think that's the problem with most people is they think they do, but they don't really understand the way money works and flows through the economy. They don't understand how to make it, how to keep it, how to take money and make it make more money for you. So it starts off with really just financial literacy principles. Supply and demand, how economics work, inflation, how inflation and purchasing power, how inflation is attacking your purchasing power, and you need to take the money from underneath your mattress and actually get it into something, take it out of that low yielding savings account and actually put it to work for you. And then it takes you through the process of, okay, I understand now that I need to invest. What do I invest in? There's stocks, there's bonds, there's mutual fund, there's art, there's gold, there's antiques. And then there's real estate. And I kind of take you through the evaluation of all those different things and let you know why I landed on real estate. It wasn't just my grandmother pushing me, but I went through a full kind of analysis of my options there. I know I need to put my money into something. I know I need to be making more money, but why real estate? And then you decide, okay, if real estate's right for you, then Cash Flow Secrets takes you through, how do I get into that first one? How do I live in a high price market like Boston or New York or Hawaii? How do I get into that first multifamily? How do I use an FHA loan or a VA loan or a mass housing or whatever it is, the other program that you have in your local community to get into that first one? How do I leverage that first one to get into my next one? And then the one after that. And then it goes deeper into secrets like why you really shouldn't be buying a house with your spouse. HGTV promotes this visual of a husband and a wife jingling keys together, and it looks like the American dream, but they've actually hurt their debt to income ratio indirectly. And it goes into the things that the mortgage broker is never going to tell you, the things that your real estate agent never really shares with you unless they are someone of wealth themselves. So just all the secrets that I've learned, all the things that I've learned over 15 years of investing kind of compiled into one book with some of my stories behind it.
Well, and I like it's we see these things, the late night infomercials, all of that stuff. And I like the fact that you're doing what you're teaching, because I think the why we looked at you and said, hey, we'll put you out on our spheres of influence is that a lot of people are teaching but not doing. So it's more about selling the information than actually teaching people how to build wealth with real estate. Can you give I'll give you an example. My first piece of real estate, the lady, it was another realtor facing foreclosure. I was watching the foreclosure list. I got a hold of them and I said, hey, you're going to lose this property next week, Tuesday on the auction date. How about I get you caught up? You sign title over to me. I'll take over your mortgage payments. I'm going to keep your tenant in place and they'll be happy. And that's how I got that property for about $20,000 down with getting him caught up and title and escrow fees and all of that. That was my first property, no money down, figure it out. I didn't have an awesome person like you or a book to reference. What would be an example of how to get started for somebody brand new?
No, and I appreciate you saying that because that's one of the hardest parts about where I am today is doing it while trying to teach it simultaneously. But I understand the importance of it. Part of the reason I'm 37 today, and part of the reason that I am doing what I'm doing is because I don't want there to be a disconnect. I don't want to be doing this 20 years from now and then reaching back and people saying, well, he's this age and I'm just getting out of college and things are different now. No, I'm telling you that I'm a little bit more than a decade ahead of where you are, and these things are still the same, and you can absolutely do this today. I also do it, and again, not to get off topic, but also do it for, growing up and as a Black woman in the, for coming from the South, moving to Boston, very difficult for my grandmother to grow up in a, she's a woman, she's a person of color in Boston in the 1950s and 1960s, very difficult time. And I understand that though we've come a long way from the 1950s and 60s, there are still people who look like me who are out there saying, I'm at a disadvantage, or I'm this, or I have this hurdle in front of me. And part of the importance of me going out there is basically saying, I'm a young Black man myself. I understand where you're coming from. I grew up in the projects. I had some disadvantages to myself as well. My father, mixed up in drugs, and he was, not around. Here's what I've been able to do, and you can do this too. So hopefully that, I don't even know if that answers your question, but I just wanted to put that out there as well. So
very inspirational.
How we impact
is what it
people
is. Yes.
It's not with facts and data, it's with stories. I mean, it just came out on Netflix. Annie Turnbull Malone, first millionaire in the United States, female Black woman.
Yep.
That's amazing.
I love that. I love that Netflix series.
Yeah, so that was awesome.
Great story.
And back east, and so for you, if and I'll share another story, because that's how Adrian and I are like out of the box realtors. When I said that was my first real estate purchase, I lied. My first real estate purchase.
That was your first investment that you purchased.
Yeah. Is the first piece of real estate I bought. I was a student at the University of Arizona in Tucson, and I was like, I should buy a house. Why am I paying rent? I should buy a house, and then I'll get all the roommates to pay me, and then I'll make the mortgage payment. So I found an assumable mortgage. I couldn't even afford my realtor's commission, so I had him take a note. I didn't even have the down payment money, so I actually, sorry, student lending, but I used my Pell Grant and my student loan money. And then I made a video and I sent it to my dad and my grandfather, because I said I need a little bit more extra money for the down. And then on the equity for the property, I took a second position note, and then I ended up getting that all paid off. But I was 22 years old, didn't have a blank to pee in, and I just figured it out.
And I absolutely love that. I'm inspired by that, because that's what it's all about, and that's what the book is about. It's about figuring things out. And when I'm doing coaching calls and I'm talking to people, and we're on stage, or we're on a webinar, we're on a podcast, I'm telling people, figure it out, figure out a way, because it's the same thing for my wife. When we bought, I owned a multifamily. I had 5 units, and then she was a few years behind me in school. And when she got out, a couple of years, and I was like, you have to buy a multifamily. So she used the same FHA, product to go out and buy another 3-family. And we had about $7,000. The prices are going up. I think we needed about 15 or 18. So we go to her cousin. We say, basically saying, we're going to borrow $7-8 grand from you, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the $7-8 grand. We're going to couple it with our 7,000. We're going to buy this multifamily, and once we get into this multifamily, the rents are going to be X, Y, and Z, and it's going to spit off about $1,000 a month to us. We're basically going to give you your $7,000 a month. $1,000 a month over the next 7, and then give you another $1,000 on top of that. So you earn some money on top of your money. He was like, heck yeah, go ahead and do it. Gives us the $7,000. And that property has been an absolute gold mine for us. I just made a video on YouTube about how we refinanced the property, pulled out $50,000 and paid off her student loans a few years out of school. Then we pulled out another $30,000 and had a pretty nice wedding years after that. A couple years ago, we pulled out about $175,000 and basically tore our house down to the ground. Our second kid's on its way, added 2,000 square feet to the property. So that $15,000 investment was paid back within a couple of years, and it's been basically just spitting off cash for us ever since.
Yeah. And Adrian, you got a question?
So, I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of these kind of situations and scenarios, and you had briefly mentioned that you offer coaching. So is that what, if someone were to sign up with the coaching, would you be helping them to structure deals or outside of the box kind of thinking?
Yeah, depending on where they are in their career. I know there's going to be some people that are just starting off, some people that are just like, how do I get into the game? I'm just, I'm working a corporate job. I want to get out of corporate. I want to get into investment real estate. I want to get into this. Or there's going to be some people that are going to be like, hey, I own 10 units now, and I'm struggling to make that next leap. I'm struggling to go from being basically an employee of myself, or right, having a job, to I really want to build a business with this. How do you get from 10 to really scaling to get to 50 units? You have to involve leverage. You have to bring in other people into your business. You have to use virtual assistants. You have to hire a property manager. You have to do, so there are, a couple different phases, but yeah, I mean, if you jump onto that website, you schedule a call with me. We have 30 minutes and we can talk about anything that you want to talk about. And I can provide as much advice as I can. And then we can talk about, future sessions from there.
Yeah, I like how you're going to give them the opportunity. You both, I look at it with our clients, and I'm sure you're the same. They're not only interviewing you, you're interviewing them, right? Because the last thing we want is what we call, Adrian, dare I say, what do we call people that ask a lot of questions but don't execute?
We call them assholes.
The assholes.
Don't be an asshole.
Yeah, no.
Work with assholes. And
the ability to, you certainly do. You have to select your clients as well. And again, it's you get to a certain point in your career where money is great, but at the same time, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, if you're not enjoying working with the people that you're working with, it's meaningless, right? I really want to go on and say, is this the type of person that I want to have a relationship with? Making money is one thing, but do I actually enjoy helping this person? And are they receptive to the information? That's another thing, right? I mean, I hopped on a call with a kid, a few days ago, and we sat there and almost battled for 45 minutes. And, I was just kind of like, if you don't want the information, then I can't, you called me to sit down and provide this. And if you already know, then I don't know how I can help you. So definitely, having that mutual understanding and appreciation for one another.
Yeah, I think making sure they got the right mindset, because being poor is a mental state. Being broke is a financial state.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You're not a therapist.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can help them with the financial state, but they got to have a mindset like, I can go for it.
If you don't believe it's possible, then there's nothing I can do for you. There's only so much I can do, and I can say I can open up some, shine the light on the path is the way I like to put it, right? I can say, here's what you can do, and if you shut that down, I say, well, here's another option. You shut that down, then there's really, like I said, after that, it just doesn't make any sense. You have to believe, first of all, that you can actually go and do this. I am not a Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is the type of person that will change your mindset and get you to believe. I am that's a different type of person, right? I'm more of a content-based guy, right? If you say, hey, Willie, this is where I want to go, I'm going to say, here's the vehicle to get you there. I think you need to take the bus. I think you need to take a plane if you're trying to get here. But if you don't have a vision for where you want to go, or at least if you don't even have a belief that you can get there, then it's it's a different type of client for me.
Gotcha. And go ahead, Adrian.
I was just gonna say, with like our market here in Hawaii, the real estate market's just kind of nuts right now. I'm sure that you guys are experiencing the same thing in Boston. What kind of tips or tricks or advice do you have for investors or anyone that's trying to get into the market right now?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I don't know how it is in Hawaii, but right now in Boston, super low inventory. Boston's a relatively small city. It's population is decent size, but I mean, at the end of the day, there's only so much land here, right? So the mayor, who is actually going to be Department of Labor Secretary pretty soon, Marty Walsh, called for 60 or 70,000 more, units a couple of years ago, and developers like myself took that very seriously and went out and tried to stimulate some new inventory there, but it's very low. Pushing, prices are through the roof. But I would say getting in, if you're a new investor, the thing I would say is be patient and be consistent and be persistent, right? I mean, you have to. It's a numbers game at the end of the day. I come onto this call from you guys. It's roughly almost 5 o'clock here in Boston, and I went to see several properties today, and I'm going to probably put an offer on all of them, and the offer is going to be aggressive. And I know that some of them are going to say no, flat out no. Some of them are going to counter offer me. But the reason I am able to find good deals or find good opportunities is because I increase my numbers. I get my numbers up. I know that if I want to buy, let's call it 20 units this year. Let's say 3 buildings, just to make the math easier. 3 buildings this year, I'm probably going to have to go look at 100 different properties. That's just the way the math chops up to, right? I'm going to probably put in offers on, let's call it 40 of those properties. 60 probably won't even qualify or won't even, meet my criteria. Of those 40, I'm probably going to get let's call it, 5 accepted. And of those 5 that are accepted, I'll probably end up buying 3 because there was a probate issue or some other title issue with 2 of them, and they got, so I just understand the numbers. And I think if, as an investor, I know there's and this goes for real estate agents too. I know I talk to a lot of real estate agents, and there's a tendency just to work hard. And I'm going to get up this month, and this February is my month, and March is going to be my month. I'm just going to get up and work really hard. Working hard is great, but if you're not systematic about it, if you don't have a plan in place, if you don't have a vision in place, if you don't know your numbers, working hard means nothing. You really have to know your numbers at the end of the day, and that comes with just time and putting in the work.
Do you sometimes partner with investors in different parts of the country?
Boston is an incredibly expensive place to live. If I didn't, I wouldn't be doing half of what I was doing right now. So partnerships are key. There are some times where I have the cash and don't have a deal. There are some times where I'm relatively good at the deal or lead generation side of it. And there's a lot of times where I have a good deal but not the cash. So I find that most of my partners are professionals that are not necessarily in the real estate business, but they need to diversify. I'll give you a perfect example. I have a client who's a partner who's owns a dental practice. Guy works 90 hours a week, constantly, at his practice, building up his practice, opening new locations. Another client who's in IT, again, working 70, 80 hours a week, and they know they need to get their money out of, they're maxed out their 401k. They've maxed out this, and they want to get it. They want to diversify away from the market. Hey, Willie, can I put 100,000 with you? Hey, Willie, can we put 200,000 and get into one of these investment properties that you're looking to pick up? So absolutely, partnerships are absolutely key. And then other investors as well. I mean, I constantly put out to new agents within our community that if you're looking to get into this business and you stumble across a deal, if it's a family member or if it's a client and you see an incredible amount of opportunity to fix up this place and create some equity, bring it to me. And this is something where we can say, here's, depending on the deal, I've gone up to 50% on with that other agent who said no money in the deal, no responsibility in the deal. I'll go out and secure the financing. I'll go out there and do the construction part of it. And you own 50% of it. Typically, it's somewhere in between 10 and 25. Depending on how sweet the deal is. But there was in one instance where it was a really sweet deal, and I just said, you know what, here's 50% of this particular property, and we still own that property together, and it's cash flowing pretty nicely for us.
Yeah. What do you say to the people that are like, I don't have money, I have terrible credit?
You either have one of 2 things. Either you have money or you have time. You have to have one of 2. If you don't have either of those, then you're in trouble. Yes, I mean, but. If you don't have money, then you need to put into the work. You need to put in the work. And I'm not sure if you guys, I know where you are, the real estate's a little bit different, but we do what's called driving for dollars here. It's just driving your neighborhoods and looking for ugly homes. And when I say ugly, I mean something that stands out. If you're driving down the street and there's a really nice neighborhood and you see one house that's, broken windows, broken roof is, falling apart and caving in, and the mail is overflowing the mailbox, and there's weeds growing everywhere. That's an opportunity. Write down that address, contact that owner. They're most likely going through some type of financial issues right now. So I guess to answer your question directly is that you have to lead generate. Investors and developers like myself are always in need. There's a point where you have more time than money. And then it changes over at some point. You have more money than time, right? So people like myself, I need help going out there and finding good opportunities. I have the financial resources. I have the backing of the bank. So to answer your question directly, go out there and find good opportunities, find land development opportunities, find houses that are run down, multifamily deals that investors like yourself, bring them to them, present them with those opportunities, and pitch yourself as a potential partner and someone that can bring opportunities. And then you don't need credit. You don't need money either.
Yeah. I think it's the myth busting that we want to do on this is that you need money to make money. That's baloney. I mean, no. Steve Jobs was making computers in a garage.
Yep.
And where Apple is today, he didn't need money to make money. Tony Robbins talks about it. It's not the lack of resources; it's the lack of resourcefulness. That is,
right. That's lack of creativity at the end of the day. You have to go out there, and like I said, you either if you don't have the money and you don't have the credit, then you need to spend the time finding opportunities and presenting those opportunities to somebody who does.
Yeah, we've got so we're coming to the end. It's quick, especially when we have awesome guests like you. It just flies really fast.
We appreciate it.
If you had to give one or two key pieces of advice, some little nuggets to somebody that wants to start off in investing in real estate, what would be your one or two pieces of advice?
Don't do what I would say. Two pieces of advice I would say is they're kind of coupled together. Is number one, think long term. Real estate is not a get rich quick scheme. It's one of the oldest businesses in the world, right? I mean, it's always going to be around. I do not see a tech solution coming down the pipeline for real estate. We're always going to need a place to live. We're always going to need a roof over our heads. So think long term. This is a true wealth building opportunity in real estate. No offense to anybody who's in the stock market or investing in Bitcoin. Those are momentary things right now, right? Bitcoin was not hot 2 years ago. It is hot today. Real estate is not hot. It's something we absolutely need. It's a necessity. So, think long term, invest in the real estate, and then don't do what the crowd does. The crowd tends to move in this direction. The real opportunity is where when everyone else is selling, you need to be looking at an opportunity to buy. That's when things are on sale. When everybody else is buying, you need to seriously be considering, selling. That's when, you can produce a surplus. So stop running with the crowd. If your aunt and your uncle and your cousin are all investing in the same thing, then I would really, really take a hard look at it and decide whether you want to get into it. I leave you with this one last thing is that you can't, not everybody can be successful, right? Success by definition is for a few people. Anybody can, but not everybody can, right? So it's like not everybody can be LeBron James, not everybody can be Beyonce. Only a few of us can. And if you want to be successful, you can't run with everyone else because it just doesn't make sense. And hopefully that makes sense to people.
Adrian, you want to wrap us up?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say thank you so much for all of these little nuggets that you've offered to, not only myself and Attilio, but everyone who has tuned in. Yeah. And we are looking forward to also having you on our radio show to continue the conversation and maybe go a little deeper on, some of these topics.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me on, and I look forward to being on the show, the radio show as well.
Yeah. So, hey, folks, you don't know what you don't know. And if someone is in life where you want to be, I would imagine that Willie's one of them guys where he's in life where you want to be.
Read his book.
He's literally giving you the opportunity to have a 30-minute consultation with him. Go to the website, sign up. Don't be a knucklehead. I mean, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, go to the website. You could be in you're okay, right? If they're in their Pikachu pajamas with their bunny suit.
Listen. As long I prefer they be clothed when they call me. Other than that, I really don't have a requirement. I mean, find a quiet place. You're in your car. You're in whatever it is, and let's have a conversation. So no, I welcome it.
Okay, mandrellco.com is where you want to go. Thanks and everybody, and we'll wrap it up. Stay with us here, Willie, real quick, and we end the broadcast. And